Hi, and welcome back to Hook Eat Up. Today is another date night episode. And for our date nights, I try to jazz up the dishes a bit, just so you're able to impress that special person in your life. For today's recipe, what we're going to be making is spaghetti in a lobster cream sauce. It sounds a little difficult, but it's really simple, and let's show you how to make it. Now, to make this recipe, you're going to need the following ingredients. You're going to need 1 box of spaghetti. You're going to need 1 fresh lobster. I got this lobster from the supermarket, and it weighs in at 1¼ pounds. You're going to need 1 clove of garlic, half of a shallot, and 1 scallion, a cup of chicken stock, 4 ounces of wine, 1/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese, and half a cup of heavy cream. Now the first thing that we're going to do is get started on the lobster. Now I have a big pot of boiling salt water that's going to be used to cook the lobster. Just going to take this bad boy. Now the cook time on that lobster is about 10 minutes. That will work for a lobster that's between 1 pound and 1½ pounds. Now that 10 minutes has passed and the lobster is cooked through, I'm going to remove it from the boiling water, put it on a plate, and set it off in the fridge so it can cool down so I'm able to cut it and handle it. We're going to be cooking our pasta in the same water that we cooked the lobster in. By doing that, it helps to bring in the lobster flavor to the spaghetti. But since we were cooking, the water level came down, so I had to add water to the pot, and now I'm letting that cook the temperature while the lobster is cooling. As the lobster was cooking, I was skimming off the cream just to make sure that that cream isn't in the water as we boil our pasta. We don't want that cream to stick around and kind of upset the look of the final dish. Since I have time for the water to come up to a boil and the lobster cool, I might as well get started on chopping my spices. So I'm going to dice this shallot. First I'm going to cut it in half, then I'm going to cut the ends off. And all we're going to do is finally cut this down. So we're going to get a nice mince on these shallots so they're into nice small morsels. Then we're going to do the same with the green onions. Going to cut them in half, and then in half again, and then I'm just going to start mincing. And you just want thin rings of this. And then into the bowl. The last thing, you're going to want to mince out this garlic. So just take the garlic, smash it with the broadside of your knife. That's going to get the wrapper off. Just pull it off nice and easy. And then you're just going to give this a fine chop as well. You're just going to add that to the same bowl. Now I took apart this lobster by twisting off the tail, twisting off the arms, and then ripping the bottom half off to get the guts out. And now that I have that all separated, I'm going to be using the head for plating, so I'm going to set that off to the side. And now it's time to get going on the meat. So the bulk of the meat on the lobster is obviously in its tail, so you can straighten that out. And what you want to do, since we're going to be preserving the shell for this recipe, you're going to just stab it down the center and cut it on through to the tail. Just cut all the way through. And we're going to do the same in the opposite direction. Now this here is the eggs or the roe of the lobster. You could eat that if you want, but we're not going to include it in the dish because it's going to kind of affect the look of it. Next, I'm just going to remove the meat from the tail. That just pulls out easily. I'm going to set that off to the side. Now we're also going to be using these shells for plating as well. Now for the claws and knuckles, you're gonna just twist off the knuckles and they separate from the claw. Now water's gonna come shooting out of this thing. So you wanna shake that off, let it drain. And for the claws, oh, this is good stuff here. 1 second. I'm gonna add this that just fell off the claw to the broth, because that's gonna help bring in some of the lobster flavor. To address the meat in the claw, you're gonna open the claw as wide as you can. And then you're gonna pull this part off and then push the rest of the claw on back and out of the wider opening. That way it comes out in one nice piece. Any of this fatty material that you see, just add that to your broth, because that's going to bring in that lobster flavor. Now we're going to do the same once again with the other claw. And now these shells, I'm going to use them to try to get as much of the lobster flavor out. So any large chunks, just add that to your broth. All the small shells you could discard. Now for the knuckles, we're going to more or less use the same strategy. Just be careful for the spikes there. You're going to cut the knuckles right at the joints, and they'll come apart fairly easily. Knuckle meat. Now with the legs, I'm also going to add all of the legs to the chicken stock, just so we could impart some of that flavor when we're making our sauce. Now the last thing that you want to add to the broth is inside of this head, you're going to see that there's some more of that fatty material. So I'm just going to run my finger through there, grabbing all of that goodness. It's not the brown stuff, it's more of a pink color. I'm going to add that as well to the broth. Now that we have the shells and the meat separated, it's time to get going to the pasta and the pasta sauce. For the pasta, I'm just using box pasta. I'm going to be using about half of the box, putting it directly into the boiling water. Gonna add just a little more olive oil. I really don't want it to stick. And as they soften, they'll drop right into the pot. And then we can give it a stir, and I'm going to move it to the back burner. And I'm going to cook the pasta for about 10 minutes as instructed on the box. Now as the pasta is getting cooked, I'm going to get started on the sauce. So I'm going to take a medium saucepan, drive off all the water, drop the extra virgin olive oil in there, about a tablespoon's worth. And next in is going to be our spice blend. So I lowered the heat just so I don't brown the garlic too much. And you want to make sure that you cook through the shallots. Then you're going to add the wine to deglaze and drive off the alcohol from the wine and let that reduce to about half. Once the wine levels are about half of what you started with, you're going to add the broth with the remaining shells. Now after half of the broth has boiled off, you're going to remove the shells, and then you're just about set to finish. Now to finish this off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in all of the lobster meat. But what you're going to want to do is separate the claws and the tail meat for the final plating, and I'll show you how to do that. Then you're going to sprinkle in the Parmesan cheese, and then the heavy cream. So once the heavy cream is in, I'm going to hit this with just some pepper, because there's already salt from the salt water and the lobster and the chicken broth. And then we can finally season that to taste with salt once we get a taste of this. So now that the sauce has thickened, I separated the lobster tails and lobster claws so that I could toss in the spaghetti and then use that for the final plating. Now to plate this dish, the first thing I'm going to do Just drop the pasta directly into the sauce and give it a quick toss. Now that's going to bring the pasta back up to temperature and get it nicely coated with the cream and everything else. Stir this up. I'm going to just pick up the pasta by the spoonful and get it down on the plate right in the center. And you don't want to move that around too much because then it's going to get your plate all icky. And then the sprig of parsley is just for the garnish. So you're going to take the parsley leaves, kind of bunch them together, cut them into nice small ribbons. Sprinkle them about. Top with the shredded Parmesan cheese. And you're just about done. And there you have it, your date night spaghetti with lobster cream sauce. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you have, leave your comments in the comment section below. I want to know how your date night worked out. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.